Mr. Roots will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We're going to pull item number 7 from the agenda. She's going to report back in the next couple of weeks. She's waiting for some information. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the revised agenda.
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. This time we'll open the meeting up for any public comments. Is there anyone that would like to address the commission? Mark?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I'd just like to set the record straight on the recent altercations I had in the lobby out here a couple weeks ago. Now, in my stand on Roe versus Wade, I've been called a liar, stupid, and worse off, a baby killer. I don't appreciate being called a baby killer because I am not a baby killer. On the contrary, my wife and myself, 20 years ago, I took on a new wife, and she wanted to have a child. So, I'm just explaining to you why I'm passionate about this Roe versus Wade. So, I had to have some medical procedures done so we could follow through on that, and she got pregnant. As a matter of fact, she got pregnant twice. Both times, the baby died in her uterus, and for health reasons, we had to have that extracted. They consider that an abortion now. And we still wanted to have a baby, so we went the in vitro route. She got pregnant, and it held. That child now is at South Dakota State University going to take up architecture, and if it wasn't for Roe v. Wade back when he was born, before he was born, we wouldn't have him. So I just wanted to set that record straight so people quit calling me a baby killer, because I'm still going to continue to get signatures. And if they want to show up again and protest, that's fine. I'll be there. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the commission this morning? In person, out there on the phone, or online? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Next up, Scott Mines, Brown County Emergency Manager, Shar Hager and Jerry Weber, Northern Electric, to discuss FEMA BRIC grant. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Welcome.
Morning, Scott.
Morning.
We'll short on chairs this morning.
Shar and Jerry introduce themselves first.
I'm Shar Hager, CEO at Northern Electric in Bath.
Jerry Weber, Operations Manager.
Welcome.
So we're here today. Northern Electric would like to apply for some mitigation funds. There's a new program out there through FEMA and the federal government called BRIC. That's the acronym Building Resistant Infrastructure in Communities, is what it stands for. And that program is something new that's been started 2 or 3 years ago through FEMA. Takes place of some of our PDM stuff that we used to do back in the early 2000s and stuff like that. So this is just another program to help provide mitigation from disasters. FEMA sets aside so much money from every presidential disaster declaration, which we had this year due to the spring flooding here in Brown County, but they set aside so much across the United States, and this program is part of that. So Shar and Jerry are both contacted me about doing some work for Northern Electric, or they want to do some burial stuff and some mitigation stuff to help keep the lights on for their customers and the power running. We, as the county, are the administrators of that grant, or need to be per the program, and they would be the sub-recipients of that grant. So, this would be no different, again, than we did a few years back with the PDM. We work with Northern Electric. County actually does the application with their help. They're gonna do the majority of it. We'll, get it submitted. Some funds will have to funnel through the county. We'll be the applicant. We transfer those funds to Northern Electric, just as we've done in the past. So, all of our past agreements with Northern Electric have been fantastic. They're a great group to work with. So, we've got a few documents after questions here. One of the documents is an agreement to keep the county safe from audits and stuff like that. Is the state's attorney in here? I haven't heard back from him if they've okayed it completely, but I know Northern Electric's legal team has reviewed it.
Carly did the review on that. I just called her, she was good with it, so.
Okay. And then I believe Shar has a couple documents just as part of the process to move on. So I'll let Shar and Jerry tell you what they know and have some questions if you got them.
Okay, thank you.
As Scott said, it's the BRIC program. It's relatively new. We do have a project that we, currently have, that we're getting the application ready for and whatnot, that we'd like to submit, but we can't do that without your collecting and willingness to participate, so we appreciate you considering that. And like you said, the application you will become the person that's granted, in order to pass through. I did visit with the people in Peter yesterday, and she said, we'll go ahead and submit it under Northern Electric, and then if it gets accepted, then they will move it over in the FEMA Gold program, which Scott is. So then they'll just transfer it over to there, but we'll get that application ready and obviously forward it on over to Scott, and he can look at it. But in the past, when we did this, all of the quarterly reports, everything that are required if we get granted this, we did those forwarded into his office, and they push them on to where they need to go, but we will do all the work.
Okay.
Need a local sponsoring entity in order to
Correct.
Yes.
make the application.
And one of the things we'd like to do is continue this, possibly next year if there's funds available and stuff like that, as kind of an ongoing process with Northern Electric. Like I said, as long as there's federal funds available.
If we don't get it, somebody else will.
And it will benefit the residents of Brown County, so
Sure.
it's a win for everybody, so.
Sure. No, it sounds like a good program, and like you said, you need a sponsoring entity, and I think that's a natural fit for the county, benefit our citizens.
Well, we truly appreciate that,
Yeah.
so.
Just curious, what kind of an amount's available at this point that we're aware of?
There's some local funds, I'll say local, I think it was 100 million, and then there's like 700 million nationwide. So, I mean, it's not a for sure thing, but, this program's fairly new and there's not a lot of applicants right now. So, I think they got a pretty good chance to
Just curious.
receive some money, so.
And like you were saying, each year, depending on the declarations, disaster declarations, they try to take 6% of those declarations and put them into this fund and divvy them out across the different states, so.
Good.
Considering how nasty the winters can be and how difficult it is.
Yeah, it all depends on how many disasters are across the area, so.
Okay. What do you have that we need to take action on?
So I just have, like I said, this is the document, and, that I have, that, like I said, kinda keeps our nose clean, and then Shar has a couple,
This is, I have one, and it's very basic, and all of it's gonna be is Dwayne signing in a document that will forward to Jim Poppin and Pierce saying that the county did approve this. And it says for year 2023, to put the application in 2023, so I think each year we would have to do another letter like this, and that gives you a chance to say, oh, do we wanna continue this or not?
Okay, good. Will this affect the level of audit that takes place by legislative audit? Is it considered a county grant that would bring us to a different level to acquire a different audit?
We're basically a pass-through.
Yes.
I don't think so. I visited with Rod Fortin about it, and he isn't aware of this very much, but he's going to look into it.
Okay, good. All right, is there any other questions? Not, I would entertain a motion to approve entering into this agreement.
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second by Dennert. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
This one,
Yes, thanks.
put them together.
Hope the next time we see you, you come in with a big check.
I think they'll be standing there waiting for their big check.
I was gonna say that, I think it'll be the other way around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
All right, moving on. Neil Belica, discussed roads at Richmond Lake. Good morning, Neil. And friends.
We had a few things we just want to bring up to the county. One of the first things that we keep hearing about is that we're gonna get guardrails along the bridge, and we have seen no action on anything. It's been 2 years now in process, and we are just tired of hearing that it's coming, there's just nothing happening. So we're not getting any results as far as getting things taken care of out there, especially on 13A West Ridge Road. And the other fact is that they come and blade it, and 2 days, 3 days later, it's nothing but washboard, and the road is in horrible shape for the amount of traffic we get. And then it come to find out, they just paved 6A, which gets about a fourth the amount of traffic we do. And they got a new paved road, and we're wondering what is in the plan for us, because we also have, looking down the road, they're gonna repair the dam, and that road is gonna get hammered to nothing. And most of the traffic on the west side is gonna have to go over the bridge, because it's gonna have to be rerouted. And we wanna know what you guys got in plan for us, because we haven't seen. We got oil put on for a 3/4 mile stretch, and I think I called you and said it needs to be maintained, probably needs another coat of oil on it, get through the winter, and nothing's been done. In fact, nothing's been done out there. The road's in terrible shape right now. The washboard is horrible. I don't know if you've driven it lately.
I have, yep.
And we just wanna know what you guys have in store for us, because that's why we're all here, that we're even dealing with this all summer.
I think the person that can best answer that, obviously, is Dirk. He's in charge of the Rowan County roads, and it's his plan.
So first thing on the guardrail, if you give me an email, I'll send you the 2 years of communication we've been doing over that. We had to go through significant work. We had to pay Clark Engineering probably $10,000 or $12,000 to get the state and the feds to accept that project. But I'll happily send you guys the email chain of that. We got notice to proceed on it about 3 days ago. I mean, the communications between my office and the engineers and the state, I mean, if that's something that I'm supposed to be sending out to the general public, we can sure do it. But I told you when that came up that it's too big a chunk of money for us to take it out of our regular funds, that would apply for some safety funds. We did like a week after that, and they're 2 to 3 year projects. And I'll send you the email chain, the whole thing, but it's big.
I have a comment on that. When there was a meeting prior to the bridge being put out, I know my wife had specifically asked about the guardrail, and Dwayne, I believe it was you that said that money was already allocated. And, you know, that was years ago. So, was that not a true statement?
Well, I think if I remember right, I said the same thing that Dirk said. The project had been approved, but there was no timeline on when it would actually become available and the guardrails would be put in. But we got word that we were approved.
Yeah, and it's been in the STIP. I mean, if you go to the DOT's website and look at their 5-year construction plan, it's in there. And I get it, for me, that's ding ding, and I know where it's at. It's harder for the general public to see that stuff. But that guardrail program has been in the state's construction plan for 2 or 3 years. And, you know, they're slow. So that's where that's at. Did I answer the question, or? Yep.
So what's the timeline as of now?
I should have finished what I was saying there. I didn't look this morning, because after I got some phone calls last night about this meeting, I haven't been in my office yet to pull that up and see. I thought it was March or April, but I'm not sure. It's in this construction, or it's in the 24 construction year for the state.
So the last time we had the meeting here on this topic, which would have been over a year ago, there was a comment made by the commissioners, and I don't remember who, that is, if you're applying, you had mentioned you were gonna apply for federal money for the guardrails, and a comment was made, well, how long would that take? And you had said maybe a year, maybe more, and the comment by one of the commissioners or more was, if it takes a year, that's too long. We've been over a year. I get that you're emailing and all, but I was here when those comments were made, and from my point of view, it's just frustrating that it just keeps going on and on and on. So I thought, well, okay, if we weren't getting funding elsewhere, that you were told to, let's make it happen less than a year. Anybody recall that meeting?
I don't remember any of that. And the only thing I would say there is I would be reluctant, you know, that would be a rather extensive conversation about committing that amount of money. I'm curious, what do you guys think that costs? Put that up there.
Probably $100,000.
I'm hoping it's under half, under 500. The one on the east side of the lake in 2000 and, when did they come back? 2014 was 250 for what's on the other side. And it's shorter than this is. So, and I don't have a problem. I mean, you're presenting it like we're trying not to do this. I have to do this with everything. I gotta figure out the best way to go through it, because, I mean, we've lost 50% of our ability to buy asphalt the last 2 years. I mean, and I know everybody's got the same stuff, but there's other, you know, what I do at Richmond impacts what we can do at Hecla. And I know you guys could give a shit, but that's what we have to look at.
Was the cost share on the guardrail, did you say 80%?
It's either 80-20 or 90-10. I can't remember. Some of those safety projects, they change from year to year. And to be quite honest, the funding program that did the one on the east side of the lake doesn't even exist anymore. They didn't want to, the state wasn't gonna fund this. And I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go into the commission on Tuesday and explain to the commission that the state's not committed to safety aid to the extent that they used to be. Well, then that changed the tune a little bit, and we got some action. But it's a very hybrid project for them, and I feel fortunate that we were able to get it funded through that, because otherwise I'd be squeezing another $400,000 out of the paving money for next year to put it in.
So who's installing the guardrail?
It'll be bid through the state, just like a heavy highway project. I would guess it'll be BX Civil gets a lot of those. We won't be doing it.
What's concerning, you know, with the time frame and stuff, there's already been one life lost on that, because that road was raised 6 feet because there was not a guardrail on there.
I don't know, I guess I don't know about that. I didn't see the final report on that.
Well, they pulled a vehicle out of the lake with a
But I
body
don't-
in it.
Yeah, but I don't know how it got in there.
We haven't even replaced the post with the delineator on it yet. Still missing where she went in.
I just noticed that 2 days ago. I thought about that. It got taken out, what, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and never replaced.
Oversight, we'll go put it in.
So I mean, that's another reason for raising the concern of the washboarding
Yep.
and everything, no guardrail. You know, you have some teenage drivers out there, you know, it seems like in certain areas it's missing enough gravel that when it's wet, it's slippery.
There's very little aggregate left on that road. It's been ground to nothing. And they blade it, 2 days later, same thing. And I have to admit, for the amount of money that you guys put into that paving, got rid of or not paving, but the MC-70 that you put on there, it was amazing what it did for that road.
I was surprised as well. I
It
did
has
not
held up awesome. It
expect
needs to
that.
be maintained. We have no washboard on that road, none. And it's pretty cheap investment if we did the same thing going around that 13A to get rid of the washboard, because I don't think you're ever gonna get rid of it by just throwing more aggregate at it. There's too much traffic. There's hundreds of cars a day. There's very seldom that I drive down that road that I don't see a car. And I've gone there all different times of day and night. There's always traffic on there, because we're not just us, it's coming from West Shore. Because it's quicker for them to go around that way than it is to go all the way up to the bridge and go around. But when the dam gets replaced, you're gonna have a serious problem over there, because we're gonna have traffic like you've never seen. There's 200-some houses on that lake, and we're gonna probably get 100 and some families going that way beyond what we already have. So this has gotta be thought out. We can't just decide that, oh yeah, we're gonna have a problem someday. We need to start planning. That's the way we should be operating.
Well, relative to the spillway project, once that actually happens, if they ever find enough money for it, then part of that will be, some engineering folks will come and decide, you know, how to go about doing that. And if the state's gonna require that they move traffic over on a different road or something, then, you know, they'll have to pay for that as part of the project. So to infer that we're not paying attention or planning for a project that's not funded yet, which one of the components of that process will be to evaluate what you're talking about, that's not something that I'm gonna move really high up the list unless these guys tell me to. Because it'll be part of that. And the last conversation I had with them, I mean, unless you guys know something, but that didn't sound like that was going too quick to being funded.
I think the money that they allocated through the legislative process was considerably less than what the estimated cost of the Richmond Dam came in, like way less.
Bruce, didn't you find out some more on it?
Yeah, you know, there was a group of legislators, I think, that came out. Carl, you sat in on that. And it's listed in the state for FEMA as the #1 hazard in the state right now, which is interesting. It's a huge hazard for Aberdeen. And they're looking to take their $6.5 million, they're going to take that $6.5 million and allocate it to the berm on the other side of the road, not replace the spillway, and asking for the legislature to allocate, I think, $4 to $6 million and get a match with FEMA. But it is, the biggest concern they have is what a hazard it is. When they did testing on the dam itself, they were worried it was going to give way at that time, so.
I think the number was 6 to 8 million that Brock ended up with giving us. That'll, you know, you'd like to say it's gonna happen right away, but it's not, because we're not even gonna meet until January 8th, so nothing will happen for a while, but it is on the docket. People are talking about it, so.
Is that something you think likely gets funded this year? I
We're,
mean, I know
we went
budget
from-
just hasn't happened yet.
we went from a budget that's very plentiful to a budget like when you and I were in there way back 6 years ago, where we fought over $1 million in allocations of it. We didn't have any money. And then we got ARPA and all this stuff, and we had more money than we knew what to do with, really. And we're gonna go back to the old days. We're just not gonna be very lucrative in the future, but I do think that this is a project that will get funded. And I think, you know, having Brock involved in it makes a big difference too. He carries a big hammer. He's a good guy.
Anything else, Neil?
Well, I just kinda wonder what we're gonna do about the washboard, because it only lasts about 3 days, and it's right back the same way it was.
Any thoughts on what options we have, Dirk?
No, usually if you change the aggregate, that'll do it. Obviously, they're positioning to get it paved.
No, we'd ask for the oil, that's not paid.
Yeah. You guys, that's American.
How much did that cost for that oil?
I don't know, not very much. I mean, you're right,
It would be it would take care of a lot of headaches for everybody.
Well, there's ruts in the road right now.
What that thing's gonna look like when all these cars you're talking about go over there? I mean, like you just got done telling me you think it's a miracle well, I think it's a miracle. You're surprised by how well it worked over there. I am too. And I don't think that's gonna happen again that way. I wouldn't, this isn't something I would do. You'd be better off with the prow beating down to pave the whole thing, 'cause it at least makes sense to me.
Well, let's start beating.
Wait about 4 years and you won't have any trouble from me, so.
I get a question, on the road that got paved that goes down to the Brook Brown area, how did that make a higher priority based on traffic flow than what we're talking about here?
You guys are locked in on traffic counts, 'cause that's also something, that's one of my primary ones. That one has less traffic than yours, probably half, not 10 times, but half. And, it was never a road that was gonna be permanently milled up. It leads to more houses, people live on it, it leads to a paved road. On the other side, same thing I've been saying for a long time about it, nobody lives on that road, and it leads to a gravel one. Now, you guys are bringing up a different point today with 13A needing improvements. But that road would have been blotted again. I was gonna restabilize it. Neil pointed out last year that if I tried to do that over on the other side, it would never hold up. And that one had failed miserably. We milled it up, restabilized it, and we're gonna blotter it again. And I just didn't get back there. We were paving up north, so by the time we came down there to put a blotter on it, it's too late in the year to try to do that. And luckily, Mack went on strike, so 3 of our plow trucks aren't gonna make it here, so I was able to use some of that money to pave the road. Otherwise, that would still be gravel, and we would have blottered in the spring.
It just seemed like the last meeting we had here on this topic was that if the road dead-ended, you had said it's not a priority for us. That one certainly dead ends.
No, it turns and goes down in front of all the houses.
Dead ends at Brook Brown boat ramp.
And then our
And
county
it's
road
another Highway 6G that
goes
goes
north.
north.
But that goes to a dead end as well.
Correct, but it was paved and people live on it.
People live on our roads too, quite a bit more traffic that we, compare over there, so I'd say we probably have, what,
There's
10 times the amount of
so-
traffic, so.
It's not 10 times. I want you guys to prove that to me. Bring in some numbers and show me that it's 10 times. That means there's like 28 cars over at the Brook Brown Road.
So the road that got oil on it was paved as well,
Right.
but it didn't get repaved.
No, it
So
shouldn't
it
have.
seems like a different standard.
Yeah, it is a different standard.
Because why?
They're in two different groups of roads. 13 is a gravel road. That oil on there is complete anomaly. I did it because you guys were upset about the dust, and I don't like dust proofing because it's so fickle. And I knew that would take care of the dust, and it worked pretty good.
Right.
It worked
But
real
it should
good.
be, back to where I start on all this stuff, that's anomaly, that's me giving in. I wanted that should be gravel.
It used to be a paved road.
Yeah, so did 186 miles, right there behind Scott there with the camera, all that red stuff.
But that's what I'm saying on the road that got paved, is that, yes, it was paved like 186 miles.
Right.
And that ended up being a higher priority than the rest of it to get repaved. And I still don't understand why that was higher priority when less people use it than other roads that were paved that are now gravel.
So, again, it's a county road, and it leads to another paved county road down there.
Well, so does ours. If you follow it around, it runs into West Shore. That's a
How many-
paved road.
Okay, let me ask you something. How many people live on 13A? How many people have houses on 13A?
Doesn't matter how many, it's
No,
how many have to
I'm
drive
asking
that
this.
road to get to their houses.
You know what else about my
You know who's
100?
maintaining the roads in front of our houses?
You
We
guys-
are.
Yeah, they're private. Good for you. Lee Lewing was in here complaining about the township road going up from West Bridge. It's not that I don't care about those people, but it's
It
not.
doesn't matter whether you live on the road, it's the amount of people that have to drive that road to get to their house. What
No.
difference does that make?
I disagree with you 100%.
Well, that's fine.
Because, I'll tell you, because for 20 years, we've been milling up roads, okay? 186 miles of it.
But something changed.
What-
Didn't it?
what do
More
you-
people built out there, more people live there. Those other places,
I
how
know.
many people are living on those other roads you milled?
No.
This is different.
Yeah, and the other roads that we mill, we save way more money because it's way more road, right? We milled up 10 or 12 miles as opposed to 4,000 feet out of Richmond. You know? I agree with what you're saying there and everything, yep, that's true, there's way more going on. Right now, I know you disagree with me, But we have roads, gravel roads with way higher traffic counts on them, way higher, double and triple of what you're talking about on your road, and they're still gravel. And one of the things over the years, when you mill up a road, the people that live on it are the main problem, because that dust is hanging there all the time. This is the first time in 20 years I've ever had problem where it just was sustainable. Usually the people driving on them are happy because it's so much smoother and better than the old piece of crap asphalt that was there. And that is this is the first time I've ever had trouble with people that use the road. Because other than Bugs the Block Layer, and you can make an argument for Pat living on that, and whatever the first house is right there by the bridge, I don't know their names, they're the ones that stole the plaque off the old bridge down the Township Road. There's no other houses on that road.
How many houses are on the road going west of Frederick that was just paved?
West of Frederick, 1.
So that, and that was just paved?
Right, but it also is a through road. That's a huge agriculture road. It goes over and hooks up with the paved road and 65-mile-an-hour road in McPherson County. You know, there's other factors involved than just traffic count, but traffic count is a big one. Trust me, if I could have just milled that up and let it go, I'm on board. I'm always, that's one that I lost from former Commissioner Pfeiffer.
I just disagree with the thought that nobody lives on the road specifically, that makes it a lower priority, when in fact, it's got way more traffic than the one over to Brook Brown. And when you say, oh, it goes to paved road, everything goes to paved road if it doesn't dead end. You go to the state campground and go around north and it'll hook up with paved road. So it's a matter of how far you're saying defines how close to a paved road is.
There's two things there that I was specific about. One is you don't drive on gravel. If you got to drive on gravel, then you follow me? Because you can drive around, you can go around West Shore Drive, turn on a Parcel Trees Road, and go around 13A and say, oh, here's a paved road again. I'm talking if you drive off the end of the asphalt part, do you have to drive on gravel to go anywhere?
I don't know how that has anything to do with anything. Have gravel on half the roads in the county end on a gravel road. Paved roads do.
I lost you there, what? Say that again?
Well, you said that you don't do roads that end on gravel. Half the roads in Brown County end on gravel.
That's the other thing that I needed to clarify. When I say that, I'm talking only about milling, only about the roads we milled up, not the gravel roads. So I don't understand 100%, and I know you guys are covering all the roads, and I get it, but the road that's got the oil on it going west of the park is, which should be gravel, but we shot oil on it, and that's fine. But 13A has always been gravel. So are you trying to get the road that was milled back paved, or are you trying to get 13A paved, which will be a whole nother thing we've never done, taking a gravel road?
The reason I brought that up is that you had said, well, that one going to Brook Brown used to be paved.
Yes.
And therefore you repaved it.
Right.
And my point is that the road going past the park used to be paved. That's now oil, and I'm not complaining, because I agree with what Neil said, is that's good, because it has helped tremendously, as long as it's maintained, obviously.
So, this road and this road, that's 18. Again, I know it's all away from you guys, you probably don't care, but, and then 21, this road, this one. These are all gravel. This one's been gravel for 11 years, 9 years, 10 years or so. And it's getting paid back next year because it was never a permanently milled road, just like these weren't. This one's been gravel for 20 years because it was a permanently paved, or going to be a permanently gravel road. Same with this one. Same with 8th Avenue and 10. These are all roads that were going to be turned to gravel and stay gravel. These were not ever. It's just we've taken us this long to get back to the point where we've had enough money to be able to put these in the 5-year plan. And that's the case with the Brook Brown Road. There's a letter floating around out there from a meeting back, I don't know, 10 years ago, where we were gonna mill it up and then repave it. And that's just there's just different groups of roads based on something that Russ Padal and I set up in like 2001 on how we were gonna proceed with the milling.
Commissioner Weiss.
Okay, so after listening to this point, it appears that it's highly likely that the guardrail may get done next year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will call Mike right now at IMAG and double check that.
Which is a priority for the meeting's purposes today. And then the other issue is that we want more effort to try and minimize the amount of washboarding on the...
Gotta come up with something, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we make a commitment to try and focus on addressing that, whatever that solution happens to be, and communicate that with you, that's what you'd like to
That's
see
what
us...
we're looking for, that's our two main complaints right now.
Okay.
And you gotta, and I just wanna bring up one minor thing. I know he says he talks about these roads that they're paving out in the country. Logistics have changed around here. A lot more people living on Richmond, and a lot less people living out on them county roads. And it's obvious, because farmers are less and less, they're plowing down the buildings, they're farming everything, so the traffic counts. So things have to change on the roadside to cover the places that are paying the higher taxes, because I know what ag land tax is. It's nothing compared to what we're paying out there. Our property taxes are ridiculous. And then you can drive down and go buy a quarter of land, their property tax is $1,500 a year. Whoop-de-ding. I'm paying $11,000 a year for taxes, for property taxes. I don't even have a state, county, or township road in front of my house. I gotta maintain my own road.
Okay, and you know where most of that tax dollar goes.
I know where most of it goes, you know where most of it goes, but I'm just telling you right now, there's people that pay a lot less taxes, have a lot nicer roads than I do, is what I'm telling you. And I deal with this every day I drive that road.
Okay.
So it sounds like the guardrail issue, April, May next year, sounds like it's a fairly certain thing based on what the government, schedule looks like. And as Commissioner Weiss said, if we make the commitment to work with Dirk to come up with a workable solution, because you're right, I drove it 2 weeks ago, I think this afternoon. I made a swing all the way around Richmond, and you're absolutely right, the stretch on either side of the bridge was terribly washboard.
The washboard part, you really had to slow down. I went on it last night, just so...
And it's out of aggregate on the top of the hill where it turns into Richmond Drive. And so it turns to Pierce Line, there's no aggregate left on it.
No crown either.
But
There's no crown on the road, so it holds all the water.
Right, and I'm no engineer, and I don't know why it would be that way, but on either side of the bridge, there was a distinct area on either side of the bridge. I don't know if it has something to do with the elevation, the incline, speeding up, I don't understand how all that works. But it definitely was a bad spot on either side of the bridge. Do you agree?
Yeah, it was definitely a washboard. Was
13A
far from ideal.
had been planned to be blotted, is that correct?
I can verify that with Dirk,
Because they did
At the time,
North Bridge Road and West Bridge Road, that was done at the one time, and then it was supposed to be
Dirk?
the following year. 13A was
at the time, we
gonna be blotted.
had a youth camp meeting when you guys came out and had the meeting at the youth camp. I believe that was
About 13 ago.
13A was that,
If you can find somewhere where I said that I was gonna pave 13A.
Not paved.
Oh,
blotted.
Blotted.
really? Well, I don't remember that, but I could be
It was,
proved wrong, but I'd be
it was to
shocked.
be the year after you did West Shore and North Bridge Road. And then the following year was 13A was gonna be blotted.
And that was in that Richmond meeting?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look at the minutes. We got recordings of that stuff, so.
I think
So we're
you
gonna-
had a document handed out.
What's that?
I think you even handed a document out with your tentative
Had
plan
that on there?
at that meeting.
Okay.
Dirk, I got one last question, where you dug, near the sewer plant, dug
Yep.
that ditch out.
Yep.
Then the fill was put a couple hundred yards to the north
Yep.
in the ditch, so now that ditch is full with clay and whatever. Isn't that gonna cause a problem on that road too? Why isn't that gonna make that end up being soft? I mean,
You mean where it hold water there again?
I'm saying where the fill was put. I didn't understand why that wasn't just removed from the area, because now there's no ditch on the east side of the road that we're talking about here with all the problems.
Yep.
And I don't see how that isn't gonna be a problem with snow and drifting and water retention because now the ditch is full.
So,
It was a good ditch there.
Yep, the snow, okay, it was to move the break point of the drainage there. It was to push the drainage. I can't remember which way we were going, but it was because of that approach, didn't have a culvert in there.
It made it a high spot, so now it should go both ways.
Yeah.
North should go towards the lake, south should go all the way around the lagoons. And
That's what we were trying to do.
But don't you think because there's no ditch, we're gonna end up with water retention and snow?
Yeah, but
Well,
once we get the guardrail in there, that's gonna be the least of your worries with snow. I mean, that guardrail's gonna plug that thing up so bad on the, further down the hill, but I'll look at that, if there's something we can do. We've done, we do a little snow fence if there's specific areas in there or whatever. But you're saying if we should just clean it back out so you
Well,
have
I
more
didn't,
snow
I didn't
there?
understand why that was filled in when the whole
For-
point of
for the
ditches is for
drainage.
drainage. I know, but if it wasn't filled in, it would still drain the same. It's not like the whole,
Yeah, you drained
Ditch
the
cut.
you drained it going south, and then where it did drain going north, doesn't drain, because it's filled in.
It really didn't drain to the north though. It just sat there. It couldn't crest the hill.
Right.
So, I honestly think it'll be better.
Geez, write that down.
Okay, so we will work with Dirk, roll our sleeves up, see if we can come up with a workable solution to lessen the washboarding, if we can come up with a plan. Have no idea what that will be yet,
I
but
don't
we will
either,
work
but
with Dirk and
look.
see what we can do.
When do you want us to check back with you? A week?
Better give us 2 weeks. Better give us 2
Work
weeks.
around the pipeline, so we don't have you all here at the same time.
Yeah, give us a couple weeks to visit with Dirk and go out and take a look at it, and he's the engineer, he's the one that, has a better understanding, as do you. You know how it works. See if we can come up with a workable solution that lessens the washboarding in that area.
As you look at that, can you also look at the fact that, see if there's a possibility to oil that then too? And what it would take to oil it?
We'll look at any and all options, and
The oil does work, it's proven.
Gotta have a stable base under it.
So you guys come in April and tell me that too, about that. We'll see.
Can't be worse. On the guardrail, you get say in what style they put in?
No, we had to get the one that would be funded. It'll look like the one on the other side.
So if it's just a cable then?
Yeah.
Well, that shouldn't hold as much snow as the...
No, that's
Yeah,
one reason
yeah.
why it's
Okay.
more favorable. They're terrible when someone runs into them though. Put them
Yeah.
back together. It's just,
Yeah, there's one that's been, somebody hit it right by the spillway.
yeah. Parts are in order.
any other comments? Any of the commissioners have
I
any
just got
comments?
one.
Go ahead.
Is there any control on stuff parked in the right of way? I mean, is that your guys' problem, or is that
Like, when you say parked, like
parked in the right of way?
like a vehicle or a piece of equipment or something?
Vehicle.
You know, run that by the sheriff, because I've
Okay.
often wondered that, and the last chief deputy, who's not here anymore, answered that question in a way that I was very disappointed. But I don't know, I've
Maybe
asked...
there's no regulations on it, I guess I don't know.
Well,
Let me ask Scott
maybe
Baker,
Scott,
from
you know
planning
about
and zoning aspect, is there anything in our ordinances that restricts parking in the right of way?
It would fall under the sheriff's department.
Okay,
I'm not talking overnight, I mean,
Long term.
that happens, I'm talking.
right,
We have a couple cases pending right now on that.
okay. So we can check with the sheriff's office and see exactly what law says.
Boat trailers all summer long, could be stuff like that.
Carl?
Campers.
Just for a piece of information, you know, for the state, it's different than the county. And I will tell you this, with counties, they're getting, I think I can say screwed by the state a lot. They're not getting the funding they need, and we're working on that. We've had several bills that go through that haven't made it through, but we're gonna do what we can on a state level. But Joel Junt is the person that's in charge of the Department of Transportation. We did get the Super 2 going from here to Ipswich, so they are doing things for up in this area. But your representative for transportation with the House, the only one in
23-3 or 1 is Brandy Schaefbauer. She sits on that committee, and so if you have something that has to do with transportation, she would be somebody that's local that would have something to do with that. The reason I tell you that is because there are things that you need to know, and there's questions you have, and you always say, who should I talk to, but that's where I would go. And if you can't spell her last name, neither can anybody else, okay? Brandy Schaefbauer.
Neil, any other questions, comments? We will work with Dirk, and we'll report back in 2 weeks what we come up with.
Thank
And if we haven't got a solution by then, we'll let you know that too.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, doing something. A lot of shopping.
Yeah. You got a lot of baby tears. You just passed it out, don't you?
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
No. Oh, Mark Hanson. Mark Hanson.
Geez, you got another tough question.
Okay, moving on. Next up, Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent, right away for Webb Water.
No, City of Grove's.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. Review City of Groton permit application and approve continued operation of solid waste site. Sorry, went right past it.
I had Mike.
Yeah, I didn't know
look
it
at
was gonna be
it.
there.
Okay.
When I saw it on the agenda, I called Mike to see if there was any inspection that we, as a county, had to do. He said he had visited with the people out there.
I think it's just more of just a formality,
Yes.
even like with, Claremont, Tekla, we also have Columbia, as mutual, and there's some floodplain questions, so it must be coming up.
Really a formality that they have to go
The applications are all filled
through.
out for the state, and, pretty much on their shoulders, but the formalities of the approval.
Okay. You'll draft that letter, okay? All right, entertain a motion to approve the cooperation. Motion by Weiss, second by Feldheim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, sorry about that. Now we'll move on to number 8, Dirk Rogers.
Hello.
Dirk.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
You're late.
Evidently I have a right of way today.
Yes,
It's
Webb Water.
Webb Water on Road 14, going into Ron Rivet's development there, it's just going under the road, and I gotta connect down from 14 and Prairie Wood Road, come in there. I would recommend it for approval.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. How was the game?
I wish they'd have won.
Yeah.
But, pretty epic, boy, someone spent some money there on that whole complex. It's just bonkers what's there by the stadium. And, I don't know, none of the roads are straight, of course. I'd pull into a, put gas in and come back out and just be completely lost, but, no.
Critical.
Are
there any gravel ones?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But, you know, and I appreciate Carl's comments, and I appreciate the fact that we have the special safety money that we're trying to access, or we're gonna access for that guardrail. But boy, you wanna see a whole bunch, hey, and I'm the eternal optimist in a bad situation, but you drive roads from here to the East Coast, and you're just like, there's not enough money anywhere. It's just bonkers when I'm thinking about how bad some of their state roads are. I mean, just bad. But, you know, it was a good trip, and I don't know if I'm gonna drive all the way back and want to pull again, but, this is the only thing that was on there. The other stuff we have going on is, we're doing a little gravel stockpiling and, mowing. We're tearing out the last of the fence up at, the Elm Lake project, so I have to double check on some gates, but that thing might be actually done, here by the end of the week. And we'll turn in, should be about $1 million coming back from that project, so.
Mowing looks good.
What's that? Well,
The mowing looks good from what I've seen.
from what we got mowed?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're running way behind.
Before it's done,
Yeah, no, I know, it's hopefully the snow holds off. Actually, we were mowing in the snow the other day.
Well,
That
yeah,
was-
I was gonna
in
ask
the-
you, were you mowing or snow blowing?
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
both. We've paved in the snow before, I didn't remember mowing through the snow before. So we have those things going on, and I think that's just kinda doing some of the fall stuff, and we'll, I'll ponder this for a day or two and then kinda see what we can come up with something in there.
We told him we'd report back to him in a couple of weeks with what our thoughts are, so we'll follow up on that.
The guardrail's in this year, but I can't tell which month, but it's in the 2024 season.
Okay.
So,
If you find some kind of a simple, practical solution.
yeah.
A lot of these gravel roads are getting, you know, like even 10 where the little substation is where you take off and stop and go. They are horrible. Is that something that, when this settles down, now we had a little bit, we had a half-inch rain up there. Can you cut them down? Does that help at all, or do they just come right back?
They'll come back pretty quick. I mean, yeah, you can, from what I've read about that and learned a little bit, is that it's a material problem, and you gotta put, you put a different, try switching out your material. I tried that on the south bypass one time, and I didn't think it really worked that well.
Well, you're chasing it, same thing you do if you're trying to figure out what you're gonna do about ice or the rest of that stuff. You know, it's not so much temperature, it's moisture, how much binder you put into it, how much traffic, and, as it's dynamic, and if it gets too dry, then it turns to dust, and the binder's gone. If it gets too wet, then it turns to mush, and try and get your crystal ball out there and figure out what's coming, and...
Well, and when you look at the washboarding and I compare it, and there's a science behind it that I don't understand, but like on a snowmobile trail, the last mile in and out of like a really high traffic area gets real moguly, really fast, but it has something to do with the whole acceleration rate, deceleration rate.
You're putting, like when you're just driving, most of your force is doing this.
Yep.
When you go to start, if you're gonna start stopping, well, I guess it would turn this way,
Either way, but it's lateral instead of
going
horizontal.
horizontal, yeah.
It's the same thing with turns on intersections, too. If it's soft, it's gonna push.
Yep. And that area out by the bridge when I drove it, and Drew said the same thing. You know, it might have something to do with the incline, if you come off the bridge, you're accelerating,
They
you're
could have
coming
one
down,
path
you're
to it, too.
decelerating. And it's literally the stretch on either side of the bridge, that's the real culprit. I mean, that's the worst and the most noticeable.
So we don't think of it that way, but it literally is fluid. It's just
Oh, yeah.
very slow how
Right.
it happens. But
Those bridges, and that one's got a little more camber in it. I mean, I'm sure it's whatever it's supposed to be. But when you look at an old bridge that seems to be more flat, I'll bet you don't have you don't have as much of the washboarding on there.
Right.
So, you guys got anything else?
I got a quick, two things, actually. Got a message this morning, they were wondering about the blade schedule for 18. I guess that one's getting, I know there's not as many people that live on that one, but it's getting pretty washboarded. Maybe they could, if you guys had that one on your radar.
They hadn't called, and they usually send me an email after a while on that one.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
They said with increased harvest traffic and everything, it probably got a little worse faster or whatever.
So,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I had one more on, was curious who, was that your department that went out and cleaned up Brown County 10 beside the, dump, or who was that?
No, we didn't do it. I asked them about that this morning, and I don't know who did it or how they got there, but that is one that we did not get called about. Just sometimes when there's debris on the road, and I won't say how it got there, but, we're harvesting right now. But anyway, sometimes it's critter, sometimes it might be anything. Most of the time, the deputies call it in, unless it's something they can, just throw off the side of the road. But like in the case of a bunch of mud or gravel loads or something, they're gonna call, people are gonna see it, they're gonna report it, go to dispatch. Dispatch is gonna do what they're supposed to do and get a hold of somebody to clean it up. When that happens, we usually do not go through any kind of process to go, who did it, why'd they do it, it's 11 o'clock at night, let's just go clean it up and do whatever. So that does happen. You know, I don't know. I have no idea how you would go through the process, waste a bunch of time, try to figure it out. So that's normally what would happen. I do not know what happened here. I don't know who would have cleaned it up or...
Is that the south one or the north one?
North one, right by the fairgrounds there. I was just curious, I was just gonna thank you guys for doing it, because I know that you
Well, you
didn't
can-
create the problem, and
You know,
shouldn't have
there's
been like that anyways, so.
that, and, I wish we'd get guys that would take their heads off. I get it, you know, on the combines, I get that, I get it.
In a hurry.
Your field's just right over here, I mean, you know, but that's another one that I sat out at Richmond one time on the North Bridge, where they got the guardrail, and the dude came down from the north, turned the corner, and he started doing this number, because you can't just go square through there with it, because there's, you know, and I pulled out in the middle of the road, turned on my light, and just sat there. Pretty soon he stopped, backed up. So, you know, I don't, again, it's like being a good neighbor thing, but I don't know, how hard is that to do? I'm a dumb city kid, I don't know that. Is that
You gotta find a spot to do it, you have to set it down, and you put it on the wagon, and then you pull the wagon up, and, you know, and you make quick
can be done.
adjustments, and you're in a
It can be
hurry.
done, and when you're traveling around the town, especially when you're out there, the amount of traffic you're gonna run to is a lot different than when you're coming down towards the dump site right by Aberdeen. Your head should be racked, and I don't know what I guess our laws apparently are different for ag equipment then.
Oh, yeah.
On overweight.
all kinds of stuff.
It's not.
Legally, your header is supposed to come off by the state law.
Is that a state, what is the state law, does Ross know that, or the sheriff? What's the state law versus on over with ag equipment?
I'll look that up.
Yeah, SDCL.
I think it's 31,422, Ross, check that out.
Yeah.
But.
From a practical
There's
standpoint.
gotta be a law.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I know what it is if you're on a truck or over with. You also don't travel at night when you're over with either, but.
Not necessarily the law that's the issue, it's the enforcement.
Exactly.
That's where the difference is, we're not enforcing the law
Right.
we have.
We're just getting used common sense, but,
Yeah.
you know, and he asked, and we didn't answer, you know, about stuff parked in the right of way and the rest of that stuff. Well, we can get around lake property and, you know, we've got, okay, where's the actual boundary, where's the actual right of way? Well, this is in it, this is in it, this is in it. But, you know, where it's blatantly, you know, in a buffer area that legally is public right of way, no, stuff shouldn't be extended into that, but, you know, you get the same thing, it's like, okay, we're gonna try and go do this field quick, we're gonna keep our fingers crossed, because it did rain 2 days ago, and I think we're gonna be okay, and you get in and out of it 2-3 times, and it's not bad, and by the time you finish it up, you got mud this deep out there, it's like...
Or on the road.
Yeah. All right, let's, you know, go back and see if we can find a skid steer or something like that, and go clean it up, but there's, you know, a period of time between it if they're responsible enough to do that.
Yeah. It's housekeeping, it's like anything. Do you fill in your holes you chopped over the section corners if you're surveying? Did you put something back in there? You know, it's all that kind of stuff. Right.
That too, eventually, you know.
Anything else?
I got a call on 18 and 21 this week.
Okay.
Probably the same one that you got, I'm guessing. 18, is that on the 26? 2026 five-year plan, it looks like?
Yeah.
Just wanted to verify that.
18.
21's before.
Where they cut, it was.
21
it was
is
the
next.
south.
21 is next year.
It was, okay.
And then 18 looks yellow for
Yeah.
26?
The north 18 is in there too somewhere, green. That might be the area in between, yeah.
And then, of course, it was south 18.
Yeah,
So,
I assume so.
From Highway 12 to
To 21.
County 21, yeah. Which is why 18 and 21 came up in the same call.
Right, which actually though, those two roads gave me an opportunity to explain that.
Yeah.
Those are, and I get it, people don't understand how we.
So was somebody from Hecla that called you?
Yeah. I know who called.
Not exactly. Yeah, no, and those two are a good example though to use. So.
Yeah.
I mean, Push 21's waited a long time.
Yep, very much so. And I'm looking forward to I'd rather have them be asphalt, but we can't afford it. The other thing I just wanna mention to you guys on that topic is, and I'm sure you realize it, I don't know if everyone always does, when we're talking about gravel versus asphalt a lot of times, I think they're getting lost, and I mean anybody gets lost in, like, asphalt road is the Richmond road versus a gravel road, or asphalt road on County 14 versus no, that's not what we're talking about here, because had we not been able to make that map right there with the gravel roads that we made on it, everything would be crappy. We'd have about 20 miles of road that were really good, right around Aberdeen, you know, and I think that's kind of what gets lost, and I haven't run those numbers since prices went wacky in the last 5 years, but I gotta imagine it's even more than the $7,000 per mile per year difference that it used to be. And so when you're talking 180 miles or 50 miles or whatever the hell it is, it's a lot of money that we don't have to spend, so.
Right.
All right.
But yeah,
Everybody good?
try and maintain it as safely as possible for the public, so.
Yep.
We'll be in touch, and I'll
Yep.
visit with you and maybe come up with a plan, or at least some options, and so we have something to report back to them.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. You guys have a good day.
You as well.
You too. Sorry, I swore in the commission meeting, I'm working on it.
You did really well.
Huh?
Two times.
Oh, two?
You did really well.
Yeah.
I only caught the one.
50 cents in the jar.
And I shut my phone off.
$1 due to inflation.
All
right.
It kinda cost you $5 to have IT blurt that out.
All right, moving on to the consent calendar. Lynn?
Approval of the general meeting minutes of October 31st.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Dennert, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
HR report.
Move. Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Feldheim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Landfill tonnage report.
Safe up there.
Move. Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Set hearing date for retail on-off sale malt beverages at Dakota Farm Room.
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any other business come before the Brown County Commission this morning? We've had a request by HR to go into exec. Oh, Carl?
Just a comment, this is government at its finest, you guys are doing a great job. I thought, you know, even when somebody is complaining or whatever, the fact that you go through this whole process, it's incredible, you're doing a fine job. You represent our county well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we've had a request to go into executive session by HR on personnel, any legal? Legal also. Okay, we have a motion by Weiss, second by Feldheim to go into executive session. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are in exec. All right, lights are back on. We are out of exec with no action as a result. Back in session. Is there anything else that we need to discuss this morning?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Weiss, second by Dennert to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Just a reminder.